Welcome to the channel. My name is Beluga the Jaegerist, and today we're going to be talking about the age-old question: is Eren free? And yes, I did watch the Invaders video, in its entirety. And I have to respectfully disagree with him about some of the stuff he said. But today, I'm actually not going to be, just like the last video, I'm not going to be really pushing my, really most of my channel is not my opinions, it's the truth, but I'm not going to be pushing anything on you. If you think Eren is free or is not free, yeah, you can do what you will with that. To me, I think he is free. But you see how I'm saying I think. It is. I know what the story is. I know how it goes, and I know how it works. And Eren being free or not is a priority, but it's not that big of a priority to me. I don't think it's that important to the story. It might be, maybe if I discuss it more. But it's just going to be me bring up some stuff. I'm going to bring up actually stuff from both sides, but mostly from the side of he is free. But I will be talking about how he's not free as well, or presumably not free. So, what is freedom? Hold on a second. What is freedom? Freedom is, I think, best described in Armin. Armin is the perfect example of freedom. Now, why am I saying Armin's a perfect example of freedom? Because Armin is genuinely happy, right? Freedom isn't I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, in whatever way I want, in that order. But it's about, right, because what are you saying when you say that? You're saying, I want to do whatever I want just for the sake of it? No, you want to do whatever you want so that you can be happy. If you are in prison and you can't take a walk on a sunny day, you don't want to get out of prison just for the sake of getting out of prison. You want to get out of prison to take a walk on a sunny day, to enjoy yourself. If you want to do whatever you want, you're not doing whatever you want just for the sake of it. You're doing whatever you want so that you could be happy. Okay? Now, doing whatever the hell you want to do is not going to make you happy. Okay? It's not. There's a very good example of this from a very, 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 very bad show. And don't ask me how I wanted it. Any comments asking why I watched it will not be answered to. I'm not going to tell you why I watched it. You won't know why I watched it. But Once Upon a Time, the soap opera, I've watched 6 seasons of that nonsense. And you know what they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. So, hey, that show, as awful as it is, does get some stuff right occasionally, accidentally, every once in a while. One of the things it got right was, if you don't know, spoilers for a show that was aired 10 years ago, but 11 years ago, actually, Regina wanted to punish Snow White for exposing her secret, and she was doing this for all the time. She wanted to, kill her and put in this curse and whatnot. And it didn't make her happy. It left a, quote, giant hole in her heart, which is accurate. That is accurate. That is accurate commentary on the human condition. So she wasn't really free. See, Snow White and Prince Charming were more free in whatever contrived, awful scenario that the Queen put them in. She was in a palace, but she wasn't really free. I think Selena also said something to the effect that she was never really happy being, the Wicked Witch, and she was, happier once she, did her own thing. But right, so as another guy said, a dolphin is not happy when it flies. It's not. So because if the dolphin's restricted from flying, that's still freedom for him, right? This is actually a slight deviant from my path, but I'm just bringing up. I'm just really just explain what freedom is. right? Another point. The point I'm trying to make right now, which is a separate point, is restriction doesn't mean freedom. Okay, so a dolphin cannot fly. He's still as free as can be. And if he tried to fly, he'd be miserable. Okay, so why am I saying Armin's a perfect example of freedom? See, I was going to loop back around. Why is Armin a perfect example of freedom? Because Armin is genuinely happy in his current life. In his current life, he's happy. He enjoys a cool glass of soda, can of soda. Actually, I think Isfion said freedom for him was walking down the street with a tea or whatever in a magazine or whatever. And he's worth like what $45 million, something like that. But that's freedom for him. He enjoys giving nuts to a squirrel, right? He enjoys seeing the river, right? And I'm actually going to continue with that analogy. He enjoys seeing the river, being by the river, right? Whenever Eren sees the river, he's just reminded and he's angry about how much he's missing out on how the river could be a giant ocean instead. But here's the crazy thing about Armin. That separates him from the pack, because a lot of people are happy with their current lives and their pleasantries that they get from their current lives. But here's the thing you have to remember: those people are complacent. They're spineless cowards. They have no aspirations for the future. They don't want to leave their horrible hell town. They don't do any of that. They're fine. They're like, again, the garrison in the first chapter, just chilling inside the walls without a care in the world. Those are the other people. One side of the spectrum is, I want to go behind the walls at all costs in any way, shape, or form. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not afraid inside these walls. Another side is, damn, I can still be happy right now, but I can still... No, sorry. Sorry. The other side is, it's actually pretty good here. Why not stay here? Again, let's use a prison analogy, because, again, they are in a prison, but let's just, on an individual level, use a smaller prison and a more individual prison. If someone's in jail, they can have two options, right? Well, they have two options that don't give them freedom, and then they have the third option that gives them true freedom. First option is to, understandably, again, this is why Eren's such a beautifully written character, because what I'm saying might seem crazy. Why should someone, or what I'm about to say might seem crazy, why should someone accept their life? I mean, you should obviously want to go outside and do stuff. You should obviously want to break your walls and your restrictions or whatever, but those actions, that mentality, that ideology led to the rumbling. Beautiful stuff. Anyway, so the guy's in jail, right? He has two options. One, he can either be upset about how much stuff he's missing out on and be like, oh, everything I do here I could do outside but better. Or he could be like, it's actually good here. I have a meal, it's warm, I get to do this and that, and just become completely complacent and fine with being in jail. Or is the third option, which affords you true freedom, which is being like, you know what? I have cool things I can do here too. But I also want to get outside. I want to do X thing that I can't do in here. But I also can make the best of it over here. I'm gonna make the best of it over here, and you know what? If I get out, that's really good. That's a bonus. That is what Armin is like. Armin enjoys giving nuts to a squirrel, but he also enjoys seeing the ocean. He has a dream of seeing the ocean. His dream is, unlike most people, which is either one thing, which is Eren's dream, which is completely unattainable, or it's like Erwin's dream or Kenny's dream, where that's a very set limit, and once you reach that limit, you're done. Armin's freedom, what Armin is drunk on, can last forever. Well, not forever, but actually, yes, forever. Which is knowledge, learning new things, enjoying life. That's what he's drunk on, right? So when he saw the book, I think I actually wrote this down somewhere. I think I actually I have to bring that up. But when he saw the book, he's like, "Oh, yay, more things I can do. I can do more things." When Eren saw the book, he was like, "What are we missing out on? What is this crap? Why can't I do this thing too?" Armin was like, "Yeah, you get to go outside and there's more things we can see." Eren's like, "Yeah, we can." See, I never expected him to be happy at the ocean. I don't know about you guys. I never expected Eren to be happy at all seeing the ocean. You know why? Now, there's multiple reasons why I wasn't frolicking and splashing in the water like a buffoon like everyone else was. Um, One of the reasons that he already knew the future, he already knew that he was most likely going to die. He already knew that he was going to kill all those people. He already knew all those things. He already knew he was going to kill a little boy. You know, all those things. And he also knew the other thing is that you know that his enemy wasn't complete yet. And so imagine that the pain you must go through. You fighting this entire time. You know your enemy is, and you finally defeat your enemy, only to realize that those enemies are minor chess pieces. Well, not minor, but they're just chess pieces. It's what else little game, and your enemies are actually much smarter and much more powerful, and you have no chance of defeating them whatsoever. That's another reason why he's upset. The third reason why he's upset. This is really, really good philosophy. Third reason why he's upset is because he's owed the ocean. Right? I live in New England, right? So seeing the ocean to me is like, I mean, it's cool, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I live in Maine, so I see the ocean, right? It's almost as if I'm like owed the ocean. I mean, every guy's owed the ocean, but especially being, on an island or living in Maine, you're like, oh yeah, the ocean. That's what we do. We see the ocean. Eren's like, yeah, finally, this is here. I live on an island, for goodness sakes. This is my right to see the ocean. And yeah, he's right. He was born into this world. He does live on an island, and yeah, he can see the ocean. So it's like, yeah, this is square one, right? It'd be like, again, let's use the prison example. So say you're at a buddy and his dream was to take a walk on a sunny day, right, a warm day, and you do that. He's all happy and joyful. You're like, why are you happy? It's just normal everyday stuff. Seeing the ocean, well, it's not every day, but it's pretty common to see the ocean all the time for an islander. And just like taking a walk on a warm day. That's just normal stuff. That's that you're able to do regardless. So why should he be happy about that, right? But you're not free. You see, Armin is free in that moment, or he's the freest person there. So that's my definition of what freedom is. Now let's move on to, does Eren actually attain that? And the cool thing about Eren is that his character arcs are similar to Kenny's and Erwin's. It's true. His character arc is similar to Kenny and Erwin's. Let me explain why. Kenny, who, ironically enough, but let's continue. Kenny, what was he drunk on? Right? He was drunk on power, right? And why was he drunk on power? Because he saw whenever the person got the founder, they became compassionate. So he wondered, can a horrible person ever become compassionate if I got this incredible power? So he dedicated his life to gaining the founder, Divine Titan, so that he could experience compassion for other people, or see if it's possible for himself to experience compassion for people with that godlike power. Now, he never realized his dream until he died. When he died, that's when he experienced it, because when he died, he did something truly selfless. He had a Titan injection this entire time. And what he did, he took it and he gave it to Levi. Could have saved his own life, but instead he sacrificed his life and gave it to Levi. But at the same time, it wasn't really a sacrifice because that is what made him free. That's what made him free. Because in that instance, he finally learned compassion. Unfortunately, he only learned compassion when he ended up dying. So there's that. But he still was compassionate at the end, and he was still free. Which, funny enough, directly leads to the whole Armin Eren scenario. Which he was drunk on finding out what was in that basement, or specifically if his thought was right or not. And then he learned. Then he learned about the basement. Then he really got started on the basement, and he was willing to risk it all. He gambled like you wouldn't believe. He sacrificed so much lives without batting an eye. He didn't even care. Soldiers' lives, civilians' life, didn't matter to him. He sacrificed it all. And he put his whole life in it, and he was unwavering to the bitter end. And finally, he was on the doorstep of what he wanted. He was on the doorstep. It was in Shiganshi. He was close to the basement, but the Beast Titan was there. And he's like, well, crap. What am I gonna do now? And he has his plan. He's not giving his plan because he wants this thing so bad. That's his dream. He wants to. He's a slave to the information, but specifically the basement. He wants to prove his father's theory right this entire time. He's so set in it. So he hides his plan. He usually doesn't do this, but he hides his plan. And then Levi says to him, cold but liberating words. He says, "Give up on your dreams and die," which is a very cruel, unfeeling thing to say to somebody. But in Eren's case, he smiled. Interesting how he smiled. I'll talk about that later. So he's like, all right, you know what? This is it. We're going to do this. So he got his men. He's like, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do. And I didn't explain. You all saw how incredible that was. Again, the most excellent payoffs. Again, this is why, contemporary literature is somewhat better than classical literature, because this contemporary literature really focuses on climax, and so we had a 3 seasons long conflict leading up to this incredible climax where Commander Eren sacrificed his life, and then they had the injection. Funny enough, from Kenny they have the injection, and then Armin shows up. Actually, no, Armin shows up, and then Eren shows up. King Floch, and I do say King Floch unironically. I love the man. I love Floch, and honestly, his death made me sad than Sasha's by a mile. It was really sad to see him go. But yeah, so King Floch brings him the body of the great leader, and Levi decides, yeah, we're gonna revive him, and he goes to revive him, and he smacks it away. Because you know what? He is free. He doesn't need to prove his father's theory right anymore. He sacrificed his life for humanity. He did what was best for humanity. He did everything he could. And his last words are, of course, what he said to his dad. And he never got to go to the basement ever. But he was free right as he died. I still know his pattern here. Kenny dies without reaching his initial goal of becoming the founder, but he dies free. Commander Eren dies. Not reaching his initial goal, but he dies free. And of course, Armin gets it. And Armin gets it because if he dies, he will not die free. Because again, his freedom is unexpendable. I mean, you know why Armin got the. I didn't explain why Armin got the injection. Everyone knows why Armin got the injection. And the other thing, and shout out to Sailor Clout. He's a small channel, but go and subscribe to Sailor Clout. He has great content. He puts a lot of thought into his content. He puts a lot of heart into his content. He has great stuff. But he pointed out that, and I always thought this, but he pointed out that he would have committed suicide, and I always thought he would have been. When someone said, "Oh, if everyone was still around, they have these things," I'm like, I never like, and I'm not gonna do a video about it either. Maybe no, I'm not gonna do a video about it. And I never concerned myself with whether what would happen, whether Eren was saved instead of Armin, because I know what would have happened. Pretty much nothing would have happened. The only thing would be trying to figure out what Erwin's inaction would do, would replace Armin's action with, and that's hard to do. But Erwin would probably commit suicide because again, he had the guilt of everyone's lines on his hands. Because remember when his arm was cut off, and he said, "'Tis but a scratch." I didn't see that coming, did you? He cut off his arm, and he was like, that's fine. I'll pay the rest when I go to hell." So that's season 3, part 1. So he feels guilty about what he's done in his past, and later in season 3, part 2, he says he folds everybody, but he feels like he's responsible. He wants to, he's gonna go to hell. So him being alive after he's for lack of a better word, hungover. I say hungover because he was drunk on seeing proving his fraud theory right. Once he proves his fraud theory right, then he's not drunk on anything anymore. So he's hungover. So once he's hungover, he's not left with his dreams anymore to keep moving forward. He's left with the guilt of killing people. And so I would have said he would retire from the Story Corps. I know he would for sure retire from the Story Corps. If he stayed in the Story Corps for some contrived reason, if he stayed in the Story Corps, he would have been very inactive, very aloof. And you know what? Sailor Club is right. He would have committed suicide because he would only had his guilt and his sins left over. So yeah. So he actually is a good thing. Again, I'm saying this all to say it's a good thing that he died, because he died at the zenith of his freedom, and everything from there was going to go completely downhill. So that's how Erwin died free. Now let's move on to Eren. Eren is the epitome of a layered character, as he should be. You know, I brought up once upon a time in this video, and they pour all of their character development, everything they have. They throw the sink at Regina. Everything is about Regina. And I mean, the show's made for the show's about her. She's the main character from start to finish, and they pour all their part into developing her. She's the main character. Problem is, they leave everyone out to the wind. They don't try to develop any of the characters. I mean, they do try to develop any other characters, but I mean, some characters are less developed than Minka, if you can believe that. They're very undeveloped, and that, I mean, hey, she's the main character. I bring this up to say Attack on Titan is incredible because it develops all of its characters, but not equally. Because the main character should be the most developed character, right? And Eren is the epitome of a layered character. Here's how he's a layered character. Here's why I say this. It's because Eren, from the moment he was born, and again, some people are upset that he changed his panel, and admittedly, again, yes, I was a little disappointed, and I was a little disappointed, and I was confused, and I was upset as how rushed this panel was. But this panel is still nonetheless important, and I think people really misunderstand this. One of the biggest problems with the ending. That's good stuff. One of the biggest problems with the ending is its ambiguity. Yeah, I'll admit it. Again, I'm a giant, what you would call, ending defender. But yeah, I'm not. If I want people to agree with me, I'm gonna have to speak the truth. And everyone knows it was not executed properly, but it left a lot of things you have to infer. So it's just saying things that have already been said and just solidifying them, or saying things that are very obvious but are going to be solidified. Anyway, the panel I'm talking about is Grisha holding Eren, saying you're free. Now, what that is supposed to mean is that from the moment he was born, he wanted freedom. And this is another big thing that people misunderstand. When Eren's mom died, that has very not very little, but that does not have the effect you think it does. Him fighting the Titans. He did not want to fight the Titans because his mom died, because they killed his mom. That only added fuel to the fire. That only made it worse for him. Okay, his mom getting killed did not change his motivations for fighting the Titans. It just made that more personal, more painful, and they took away something, one of the biggest things they could take away, which is his mom. So that's why the mom is there. But the mom is not the catalyst for anything. Again, people think that season 1 is basic and he's a basic shonen protagonist, but if you really look at it, he's not, because his actions are ideological, not based on trauma, right? It's usually, the guy was fine, then he ran into some trauma, then he became, right? It's like Batman. Batman's a great example of this, right? Batman, just walking around with his parents, and then his parents get shot, and now he wants to fight for justice, right? It wasn't like he was born. Hey, welcome to the stream. It wasn't like he was born. He was like, I'm gonna fight justice. I have a strong sense of justice, and he went out and fought justice. That's Eren. Eren always sought freedom. He always wanted to be free, and that's why that panel is there. Because guys, Eren cannot speak when he's a baby. Okay. This symbolizes when the second Eren left his mother, he wanted freedom. He desired freedom. Okay? Why did I bring that up? Why did I get these long deviants, and I realized this did tie back to something. Oh yes, right. So from the moment he was born, he wanted freedom. That's what he was drunk on. But at the same time, he also was a loving guy. He did love his friends. Remember, when Armin, again, this is another Chekhov's gun thing. Yes, this is Chekhov's gun. Intentionally or not, it's Chekhov's gun. When Armin, maybe not Chekhov's gun per se, but maybe foreshadowing. I don't know. Character consistency. It's something that's important. It's a very relevant scene. When Armin is being bullied and Eren goes after the bullies, that's not there for no reason. That's not there just so you can be like, oh, look at this. That's there for a very specific reason. He's there because he's fighting. He's putting himself in harm's way for his friends' sake. As early as episode 1, he deeply cares about his friends, especially Mikasa. This man killed 2 dudes. He killed 2 people. 2. For Mikasa. Then he gave him his scarf, and then they grew up together. And then you know how many times he protected her. Then he said, "I'll wrap this scarf around you again and again, no matter how many times you want me to wrap it around you." Right? So we know he cares about Armin and Mikasa, but he also seeks his own freedom. Now the small branch is starting to drop out. Now we're starting to get a layered character with a lot of complexities that sometimes jab at each other, clash with each other. So that's what Eren wanted. Now, Eren sought from the dark. He wanted to go outside the walls. Then he realized the walls, all being on the walls, are just more walls, right? Then he went. Then he thought, oh man, this is still bad out here. And then he decided to do his rumbling plan. And then the rumbling happened. Okay. Then, he is very curious scene, but I haven't entirely figured out. It's very, very curious scene. He comes up from his Titan and he says, "Freedom," right? And Armin's just looking at him. He's like, "What are you doing, man?" And then Eren's face turns from a smile to concern. And I remember he's a kid when he does this. He's a child, so he is looking at this, and he's saying freedom because he's the most powerful person in the world at this point, and no one can do anything to stop him at all. They can't. And he's doing everything he wants to do, and he has full control over, ironically, what he intended to destroy. And so that is why he says freedom. Again, he's a kid when he says this. Then they go into pass in 139, which at the end of the day, again, at the end of the day, it wasn't a great or excellent chapter. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Okay, give it a 7 out of 10. It was a good chapter. It was. In 139, Armin and Eren are talking as kids. Then when the conversation turns to Mikasa, then they become adults. Now again, there's still a lot of blanks to fill, and maybe the anime will take care of this. But my interpretation is as a child, he wanted freedom as well. A childish definition of freedom, which would be to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. As an adult, as a more mature young man, he was thinking of Mikasa and her freedom and her well-being and her happiness. That is why he put his life in harm's way. Again, he didn't know he was going to die, but he had a pretty good idea he was going to die. And again, another layer, he didn't want to live after the rumbling because he didn't feel like he deserved happiness because everyone else, he killed a bunch of innocent people. A lot of people ask, well, if Eren liked Mikasa so much, how come we didn't ask her out? Huh? Yeah, I bet you didn't think of that, Isarama. Well, the thing is, he did ask if she loved him. She said no. So there's that. And again, remember, he already saw this conversation. So he was double checking because he desperately wanted to know. Again, put yourself in Eren's shoes. You know the future. You know what's going to happen. You know that Mikasa says she doesn't love you like a wife romantically. You know that, but he's so desperate to hear that he goes and asks her anyway. Even though he already saw the future, even though everything he's seen in the future has played out exactly to this point, he goes to Mikasa and he says, "What am I to you?" She says, "Oh, your family," because she was too shy or nervous, whatever the hell her excuse was. And then that was it. There was no turn back. And at that point, he was not going to express his feelings towards her. And so he did. And so he went and he, did what he did. And the other thing is, again, he didn't want to live after the rumbling because he felt guilty about killing those people when he said, I'm sure they didn't want to die either. That's when Armin brings up a third option. He doesn't even entertain it because he didn't want a third option. You see. So that's why he didn't just say, "Oh, I love you," make a son. They kissed and they were up into the sunlight, and whatever the hell you sick people wanted. So, so that's Eren's layered personality. Now in the rumbling, he gets killed. And in my opinion, again, I can be swayed very easily on this, but in my opinion, that's when he became free. When he put aside his childish definition of freedom, put them aside, he thought, I'm going to sacrifice my life for Mikasa and everyone else so they can be free. So the last thing I'm going to say to Mikasa is, forget about me, be free. And in doing so, he then was free. Just like Kenny and Erwin, once he died, or right before he died, or after he died, he was then free because he was free of, going through his, being free, his hedonistic freedom, and then he became about sacrifice and love, and that's when he became free. And recall how the owl said, "Love someone for the walls." So the only way to break the cycle of violence is to love. So that my hands made became free. And now you may be screaming and shaking your iPhone and saying, "Beluga, what are you talking about? He said we would complete the rumbling either way." Well, here's the funny thing you don't realize. Here's the crazy part. If Erwin didn't get hit by a rock, do you think he would have fell on his sword after he read the book? Of course not. Of course he would have still read the book in the basement. Because why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he read the book? Eren didn't go in there, right in there, knowing for sure he was going to die. He had a good idea he was going to die, but he didn't know for sure if he was going to die. just like Eren. He didn't know for sure if he was gonna die, but he did he was gonna die. And you know what? Erwin was gonna go to the basement had he not died. Unless you're saying Eren would have killed himself before he got to the basement if he didn't get hit by a rock. Unless that's what you're saying. In which case, no, 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 no. And again, he said, "I don't know." Again, this might get elaborated later in the anime. But he said, "I don't know." Okay, it's not a definite anything. It's very ambiguous. It's not definite anything. He said, "I don't know." But again, assuming that he would have completed rumbling, why would he? Why wouldn't he complete the rumbling? Right? When he was asked why, he said, "I don't know." But he said, I think I will still would have completed the rumbling. I wanted to do that, right? Because he wanted freedom, and that was freedom from him to have a lot of power. And again, why wouldn't he? If he's already alive and Mikasa Titans are racing the world, why wouldn't he do the rumbling? Okay, so that's why that's there. Okay. Now, a few things. Number one, well, actually, no, two things, two or three things. I'm gonna start with the symbolism. Now, for symbolism, he and one more quick thing, and I said this in a bunch of my videos, but I'll continue to say it. Eren was not being manipulated by Ymir. Okay, guys, we really need to stop this. Again, as I said, he always wanted to protect his friends from day one. And again, in season 2, he said he'd always sacrifice his life. He said he would always wrap the scarf around her. And again, in the songs, he said, "I'll do anything to protect you." Okay, remember that. And then recall how his eyes are green and not purple. Okay, so we can't walk around saying that he was being manipulated by Ymir. Okay, he's not selecting Ymir, he's not doing Ymir's bidding. Everything he did of his own free will, and he wanted this result for Mikasa. And again, you think that Ymir was in his head and forced him to say Mikasa be free? You think she was having him say that too? No. Actually, while we're talking about Child of Evil, remember, it's a very again, this is not hard proof, but while we're still on Eren's freedom, and before I move to the counter arguments, recall how he says again, "If I had wings like birds, if we all had wings like birds, I could fly anywhere." There's a cage coming around this bird, which I'm gonna say things. Number one, actually, symbolizes three things, maybe four things. Isayama's a mastermind, and don't you dare tell me that Isayama didn't write this ending. I think from season 2, we all know that Isayama has full control of the anime, especially the endings. But this symbolizes much things. So the cage comes up, right? Symbolizes one thing, right? The bird's not free, right? Because the bird's the cages are coming and they're trapping this bird. The other thing, even if you were a bird and you were able to fly, you still aren't free. Even if you have all the things you want to do, because again, if only I had wings like birds, or we had wings like birds, whatever he said. If only I had wings like birds. He's dreaming. He's like, "Oh, once I have these wings, I'll be free." But no, even if you have your dream or whatever, you still won't be free. You're still going to be trapped. Another thing, Eren says freedom while he's in the air, like a bird, but he's actually not free, right? That's my interpretation of it. And of course, the 3B or 4 is, of course, Eren is symbolized by a bird. So while we know Eren is talking, he's still a bird. He's still supposed to be a bird, so that's why he's trapped. Wait a second. Maybe he is free. And on that note, actually, I'll say that. So we have that. So we have that cage coming, and then do you know when the cage disappears and Eren stands, beautifully? He says, "The world is cruel, but I still love you." And that's when the cage disappears. But again, he says this after. He says, "If I had no place to go to, I'm not sure I can leave." Right? For Mikasa, his freedom isn't flying around doing whatever he wants to do. His freedom is going back home to someone he loves. And again, he says, all those cruel bodies love you. And then that's when the cage disappears and he's standing in a beautiful field of flowers, looking around him, and he's completely free. Which might be why the book has no walls. It's because the kids were all free, maybe. Now, then of course he says, I will do anything to protect you. So this is why he's not being manipulated by Ymir. And again, he said that this is part of a love letter between him and Mikasa, or a conversation between him and Mikasa, which happened in 2013. So don't tell me he changed the ending, okay? They can dispel that too. Now, another thing why I think he's free is he gets. I can't believe I didn't see this before. And to me, you're gonna be like, "How could I not know this? It's so obvious." And the other thing is that he's a bird. He's a bird. The dude is a bird. Okay, again, this is my theory, but he's a bird. Birds symbolize freedom. After he dies, he turns into a bird, for goodness sakes. I mean, how more on he turns into a bird. I'm sorry, guys, but a lot of these things I've had I've had a lot of these beliefs and thoughts months and years before recording these videos. This is the first time that I've had a thought while recording a video. Okay. So he's a bird. Okay, now again, there's a lot of things you can say about him being a bird, or the birds that are being symbolized. Those birds are centered on a lot in the last arc and the last end of the arc. But he turns into a bird, and we've always wondered, what is this Eren reincarnated? Is this symbolism of a bird? What is this? The dude is a bird, okay? This means maybe, perhaps, that he is free, because he's now depicted to be as free as a bird, okay? So, yeah, he's free because he's a bird. And he gets to chill with me, or not chill with me. He gets to do something. He's a bird. Anyway. He's a bird. Totally. Okay. So, hey, maybe it's something to do with season 2. The season 2 ending. What, Bird of the Sunset? Is that what it's called? Bird of the Sunset. Didn't the rumbling happen at sunset? Huh. There was a bird flying in one of the last chapters at sunset. Maybe it's referring to the owl. Who knows? But anyway, now for the counter arguments. Now, first with the symbolism. Number 1. Eren is shown to be a puppet, a marionette. It depicted as such. Again, this is symbolism, so this is all. It's nothing is solid, but he appears to look like a marionette or a puppet suspended. His head is like such in the Titan form, which may mean that he is actually a puppet, or not a puppet if you mirror, but a slave to his own freedom, or a slave to his own desire of freedom. Okay, then the second thing, which would be really weird, is the chapter itself, 139. 140 symbolizes freedom, apparently. Again, I don't know how universal that is, because that's the first time I've heard of that crap. But 140 is the number that symbolizes freedom, apparently. So for the book to end at 139 means that he stopped just short of freedom. And the funny thing about that is, if Isayama pigeonholed himself by making this 139 chapters when he had another chapter's worth left, that'd be really funny. Because then he would not be free by making Eren not free, and the story sucks because he wasn't free. That'd just be weird. Now, for hard evidence, Eren, I don't have any hard evidence as to why he is maybe because he never got to he was always pushing towards his goal, right? He always kept moving forward towards his goal. So maybe he was a slave to his goal this entire time. Maybe he never truly was free. Maybe when he died, it's like, okay, I accomplished my goal, and he was not able to be free. Because had he lived after he died, he would have been free of his goal. Because he achieved his goal, getting rid of all the Titans, right? So that's the main argument. That's the main argument that they really bring up. Again, I'm not set on either one, especially since the last chapter is so ambiguous. But I think for now that Eren is definitely free. He's definitely free, for me at least. Again, you can definitely post your ideas down below because again, I'm not really sold on either one of them. But so I'd like to hear those ideas. But to me, it seems like his story follows the pattern, right? Kenny, Erwin, then now Eren, right? So it makes sense to me that he's free when he dies because him sacrificing his life for his friends is his freedom. And again, Child of Evil only reinforced that idea. Or maybe Child of Evil is he could have been free had he had done the 138 route. And let's say Mikasa chose a different answer and then ran off together. Maybe that's what his freedom would have been. But so again, this is a question. I'm sorry if you click this video for a definite answer because I'm usually very grounded and definite and not moving on these videos. I don't really mince words. I don't really leave things open to interpretation. I say this is it. This is why this is, and anything else is wrong. But from what I'm looking at, I see it looks as if Eren is free. Although again, very well, his love for Mikasa was his freedom, right? So perhaps if he would have loved just went out and said, "I love you, Mikasa," which is again why the cage breaks when he says, "The world is cruel, but I still love you." He never actually says it to her in the anime or manga. He might have said that to her, but we don't know if he did or not. Or no, not said it, but he's thinking that he might be thinking that he never said it to her. And I'm positive he's thinking that. And if he did say it to her, and they did go to the woods together, then maybe that would have been his true freedom. Ironically enough, the boy who wanted to go beyond the walls and see the outside world and defeat those enemies, surprisingly enough, again, notice the amazing psychology here and the beautiful character development, which is instead of his freedom, which again, it's just the actual ending that'd be really cool. I do like that. I really do like the new ending. I really do like the original ending, but this one would have been just as cool. If he would have went with Mikasa to the woods to live by himself, again, not free at all because he's stuck there. They're persecuted, so they have to be stuck in the middle of the woods, middle of nowhere. His island getting invaded, but he is free and happy, which is weird because unlike the first season, it was all raw, kill my enemies, kill all the Titans, go beyond the walls. He purposely has the power to, doesn't let the Titans come in, doesn't keep his enemies out, doesn't seek freedom, instead settles down and enjoys his life with Mikasa. So maybe Eren is not free because instead of choosing that path, he instead decided to act as a friend and not as a husband. And maybe that's why. That's why he's not free. Now, why do I like? And I'm just as a bonus, why I like the original ending better than that ending. While the ending is great, here's the thing: that psychology and that character development and that commentary on human nature, it's already there. We can already see how happy Eren is. We can already see how happy Mikasa is. We can already see that that's Eren's actual disposition. It's not a contrived or fake disposition. That's how he actually feels. And again, I'll say this again. Child of Evil. I'm gonna keep mentioning that. That's a really, really good song, and I hope they never change it. I hope they don't change it for season. I hope they don't change it for season 4, part 3. But and also maybe he is fake because again at the end of that song he says, "Believing yourself is the right thing to do." Then he disappears. So maybe he's made peace with his decision, and he dies. And I do think he made peace with his decision. But I like the original animators because he made everyone else's life better, right? He made Annie's life better. He made Ryan's life better. He made Connie's life better. He made Mikasa's life better. And Mikasa got some well-needed character development. Because instead of, and again, I hate this word, but instead of simping for Eren the entire time and sacrificing her own freedom for Eren, she's decided to move past Eren. And then, even though she still loves him, move past him and then marry somebody else. Right, so to me, that's a better ending because Mikasa actually gets some character development, which is cool, of course. It's foreshadowed, right? And again, everyone else's life gets better, and it's a giant sigh of relief. Like you think, oh man, I get to see my dad, but man, I'm gonna die after a year. He's back. I got so close to killing my mom, but you know what? I just couldn't kill an innocent child. She's back. Wow. It's a big, like, oh man, I'm gonna die for 13 years. I'm the colossal. I'm free to live however the hell I want to live. I can live for as long as I want now, right? So he did a lot for his friends, and I like that. And again, the psychology is still there. The commentary on human nature. No, this is Eren's actual self doing this. This is not like a fake version. This is just Eren had Mikasa had moved her tongue in a few different ways. This is exactly how it played out. So, and again, remember, and I don't think Isayama's going to elaborate on this because remember that what's his face? Isayama said through Goth Mikasa, everyone's supposed to have their own interpretation of this. And if you think that that's wrong, if you think he's wrong for doing that, remember, is it called The Lady and the Tiger? Let's see. Yeah, The Lady or the Tiger. That is a critically acclaimed piece of classic literature that everyone likes and says it's a good thing. People don't think it's good. Okay? Isayama does this over a longer span of time with more symbolism, with more exposition, with more everything. And he says, hey, audience, hey, world, is Eren free? And if I'm pretty sure if he has been asked this question, I don't know. If he gets asked this question, I'm fairly certain he will not answer because, again, it's left up to the audience's interpretation. And in my opinion, it's a very good idea, too. It's a very, very good idea, too. It enhances the story by a lot, and it makes things a lot better. Anyway, that has been the video. You can like if you want to, subscribe. I got a subscriber today. Yeah, I got a subscriber. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked it. If you didn't like it, that's fine too. You can tell me why you didn't like it. If you want to do theater editions, you can comment that as well. Yeah, anyway, just thank you for watching the video and have a great day.